Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today is the day 22 for our Palo Alto Firewall training series. In this video, we are going to talk about dynamic NAT. So in my previous video, I have covered static NAT as well as I have covered U-turn NAT. So in static NAT, I have covered the source NAT as well as the destination NAT. In U-turn NAT, I have covered what exactly the NAT is. It is called as twice NAT as well, if you understand the technology. So I'll highly recommend you to please watch that video as well. If you are not able to find that video in my channel, you can just click on the I button, will reflect over here like this. And if it is not reflecting, you can just check the description box of this video. You'll be able to find the link of that video. So in this video I'm going to cover dynamic NAT, right? So dynamic NAT can be converted or can be configured in two ways. So the first is source and the second is destination. The source is very rare. So in source, what happens is, let's say you will be having some VIP users and you have allocated some public IP to them. So they will be connected to switch, and this switch will be connected to PA, and PA will assign some public IP to them, and they will be able to go to internet. So once they comes to office, maybe they will be connected to Wi-Fi network, or they may be connected to LAN network. So once the traffic hits to Palo Alto Firewall, there will be a range defined for them, the public range, and they will be able to use that. They will take that IP address and they will be able to use the internet. Nowadays, it is kind of very rare scenarios that you are going to see, because you are not going to waste a public IP to a VIP user. You can just configure QoS for that. So I'm not going to cover the source dynamic NAT. Instead, I am going to cover the destination dynamic NAT. It will be very interesting to see, and also I'll be telling you how Palo Alto do the load balancing for that. It's kind of new thing that you guys will be seeing in Palo Alto. So I'll highly recommend you to please watch this video till the end, so that you can understand. First is the configuration, the concept, and also the troubleshooting steps as well. So these are the reasons that you should watch this video till the end. And if you're new to my channel and if you're interested about my content, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a video from me. So guys, without any further delay, let's get started. So friends, to understand dynamic NAT and what is the requirement for destination dynamic NAT, we have to understand through a scenario. So I'll just put some topology over here to understand. So let's say this is PA and this is a switch connected to a web server 1. Okay, and there are a lot of users, they are accessing this web server. Let's say the requirement is too high that this server is not able to take that. You want to deploy one more server, okay, and you have to configure this as a same web server so that he can also deal off. So again, to load balance, you need a load balancer, right? Because as the first web server is not able to handle all the traffic, and you want to increase another web server. So load balancer again will do the load balancing. As you don't have much requirement of load balancer, in that case the PA will do your job. He can do a load balancing of destination dynamic NAT. Okay, so what it does is, whenever the traffic comes and hits the PA, it does a NAT. Okay, and in NAT he will see what are the options that are available, what are the how many IP address that are available. So the first traffic will go to server 1, the second traffic will go to server 2, and in that case it will get continue. So every time the session will be initiated to server 1. So let's say this is PC1 and this is PC2. Okay, so this guy initiated a connection, it goes to server 1, and PC2 initiated a connection, it goes to web server 2. So this is how the load balancing will happen, and you can save your money with the help of PA with this deployment. So this is a requirement that I can see from Dynamic NAT, because I have seen in some of the places where the Dynamic NAT has been configured like this. So that is the reason you can there you can save your cost. So you don't have many web servers, hosted server inside your organization. In that case, you can use this feature. Yeah. So guys, now we'll head the lab and we'll see how we can configure dynamic destination NAT with load balancer. So friends, this is a little topology that I have created so that to understand that, first of all, we'll understand the IP schema of it. So for management, we have got 192.168, and this is the subnet that we are going to use. This is the inside subnet that we have 10.1.1. This is outside subnet, and we have a user that he will be going to access this servers, and this is the DMZ zone. So what we have to do is we have to NAT over here, so that if the user is accessing this NAT IP address, there will be a load balancer that happened in PA, and the traffic will be distributed between server 1 and server 2. So this will be 2 and this will be 1. I guess I have put it wrongly. So this will be 1 and 2. Okay, you can just take the screenshot of this topology and you can just put it aside, and you can, whenever I configure anything, you will be able to correlate and understand the topology. So friends, I have already configured the IP addresses all over the PCs and on the Palo Alto firewall as well. Like the IP configuration connectivity part is already been completed. Now we'll configure the policy as well as the NAT policy. So we'll just, so the first thing that we are going to do is I'll just show you the configuration of network so that you guys can understand that. Yeah. So all IPs of Palo Alto firewall ends with 10. So 10.10.10 and .10. Now we'll go to the policy. Okay. And first of all, we'll create a policy from outside to DMZ. So this will be outside. I'll just draw that for you guys. This will be out and this will be DMZ and this will be inside, right? So I'll just, okay, I just closed it off. Okay, I'll just rub this out for some time. Yeah. So we'll create a policy which allows from outside to DMZ. So out to DMZ. Okay. The source will be outside. Okay. Yeah, outside. And the destination will be DMZ. We'll go to add. And we'll just put this as a default and we'll just click OK. So we are done with the security policy. We'll go to NAT policy now and we'll add a NAT policy. So I'll just write it as DNAT, so dynamic NAT, and the source zone will be outside, destination zone will be also outside because the NAT will happen on outside, and the destination IP that we can choose from is 200.1.1.50, right? I'm just choosing randomly because it's /24 network. So as this is /24, I can choose any of the IP address. So I've just randomly chosen this one. Okay. So we'll go to translated packet. As this is a destination, okay, so there will be a session distribution. So we'll create an address. So name will be DNAT server. We can just give any name, and here we have to define a range. So what are the IP address that we have? 20.1 and 2. So 20.1.1.1 and 20.1.1.2, right? So this is the range that we have. Okay, and we'll just click OK. And we'll do a commit. So after committing, what we are going to do is we'll just do a ping to 20.1.1.50 and we'll see from which server we are getting a reply. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable. So I'm going to enable this one, the debug, so that we can understand from which server it is coming. So okay. So we'll go to the server first. Okay. Okay, we'll go to configuration, and the host name would be server 1. Okay, server 1, and we'll check that out for server 2 as well. Yeah, so we have lost the connection. Now we'll just initiate one more time. Okay, so we'll debug IP ICMP. Okay, and also for server 1 as well, we'll debug that. Okay, we'll go to debug IP ICMP, right? Now we'll go to this machine. And we'll just try to ping that IP address 100.1.1.50. Okay. So as we can see, the ping has been redistributed with the session. Now if you see here, we are getting 3 and here we are getting 2. So every time whenever we initiating the IP address, like whenever we initiating the ping, so first it is happening on the round robin fashion. So the first traffic coming here, the second is coming here, then third, then fourth, and the fifth, like that is happening. So you are able to see where the load balancing is happening. So it is based on the session. So every time there is one ping traffic, there is a session. So it is not like that the ping has been initiated. So how it deals of, you need to understand and you need to explore how application works, whether application is working with this scenario or not. So what I can do is I'll just configure HTTP traffic and I'll show you how it works for you. So guys, right now the scenario will be the user will be accessing on 200.1.1.1 50 on port number 80, and this will get redirected to another port number, that is called port forwarding, that I'm going to configure now. So it will get port forwarded to 20.1.1.1 and 20.1.1.2 on port number 8080, and also we'll do the load balancing. So how we can do that, I'll just hit the lab and I'll show you guys. So the first thing that we are going to do is we'll just do a little modification in NAT. If you have like configure any security policy, as we have allowed all, so we don't need to modify anything on security policy. But here what we have to do is, in service, it is a service HTTP, so the user will be accessing on port number 80. That is the reason we are just defining as HTTP, and the translation will be happening on port number 8080. Okay, so now once we do the commit, we'll go to the user machine and we'll try and access 20.1.1.50. This is 200.1.1.1.50. Okay, and we'll see how the load balancing is happening. It will clearly show you. Okay, so it's been completed. Now we'll just close it off and we'll go to the PC and we'll open the web browser here. So we'll type over here 200.1.1.50. So we are accessing on port number 80, right? Now it is asking for password, so we'll just put a password. Now we have redirected to server 2. Now next time when we access this one, 200.1.1.50, it should, okay, so I guess it's supposed to go to I guess it is, I'll create another session then and I'll access on, okay, so I'll be accessing on this, maybe it has taken the same session, so 201.1.50 Cisco and Cisco. Now we are directing to server 1. So this is how it works. First it goes to server 2 and then it goes to server 1. So it is based on the session. As this is a Firefox, so it may be a different thing, but as we are accessing the same page, same content, so it may redirect to same server. That is the reason we are saying server 2. But if we try from another browser, the another session will be getting it will come into the picture, so it will get to server 1. So this is how the load balancing and the port forwarding works. So I wanted to cover this thing in this video. If you like this video, like if you understand something, if you increase your knowledge, I'll highly recommend you to please hit the like button. If you have any suggestion or feedback or any kind of modification you want in my video, you can just do a comment on the comment box, or you can send me a mail as well. I'll highly recommend you to please subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you never miss a video from me. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in next video. Well.